In your last two Bhagavatam classes, you stressed the importance of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Inspired by that, I started reading it. And now I feel it is the most perfect decision I have ever made. Wonderful, excellent. I have a doubt. In the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions Shukadeva Goswami explaining the Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, the sages of Naimisharanya, and narration of these events. From my little understanding, these incidents occurred after the compilation of the Bhagavatam by Sri Vyasadeva. Please correct me if I am wrong. Did Vyasadeva predict these events and include them in the first canto? First of all, we have to understand that Veda Vyasa is a literary incarnation of Krishna. He is a Shakti-avesha incarnation. He is a person who has been empowered by Krishna to write the Vedic literature. And therefore, when he writes Vedic literature, he can see past, present and future. Nothing is hidden from his vision. Similarly, you look at Ramayana also, written by Valmiki Muni. Even there also, how does the Valmiki Ramayana begin? It begins with Narada Muni, Valmiki asking questions to Narada Muni, that who is the greatest personality? And then Narada Muni, in a few verses, in a nutshell, he explains that Lord Ramachandra is the greatest personality. And then it goes on like that. You will see this happening in all the Puranas, even in the Itihasas. When you take Mahabharata also, Ramayana also, you will see this, where the author himself is one of the characters within that Purana or the Itihasa. The fact is that as far as Srimad Bhagavatam goes, the Bhagavatam was originally spoken by Sankarshana to the Kumaras, to the four Kumaras, and that was recited by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. And that Maitreya Rishi Vidura's conversation comes within the Bhagavatam. And that same thing was later on spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And while he was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, he was also relating what is happening between Mahatma Vidura and the conversation between Mahatma Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. So it is both ways. So originally the Bhagavatam was spoken in that assembly of Sankarshana and the four Kumaras, and that was repeated by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura, and that again is described by Shukadeva Goswami and to Parikshit Maharaj. And while Shukadeva Goswami was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, it was heard by Suta Goswami. And Suta Goswami again related it in that assembly of the sages in Naimisharanya. And in that Vyasadeva was present when Shukadeva Goswami spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And that Bhagavatam was heard by Shukadeva Goswami from Veda Vyasa only. And Suta Goswami heard all this and went to the assembly of the sages and repeated that same thing. So Veda Vyasa was present when he was writing the Bhagavatam. Veda Vyasa was present when he was speaking the Bhagavatam to Shukadeva Goswami, and he was present when Shukadeva Goswami narrated the same thing again to Parikshit Maharaj. But Veda Vyasa was not there when Suta Goswami was narrating that same thing to the assembly of the sages in Naimisharanya. So how did Veda Vyasa know that the sages are all describing this? That is because Veda Vyasa is Trikalajna. He is not bound by the phases of time, the three phases of time, past, present and future, to be able to know what is happening. We are bound by the forces of Kala, the force of time. What has happened in the past, we can come to know through others who have experienced that. We can know what is happening at present within the constraint of the space which I am present in. Now what is happening outside beyond this wall, I don't know. Although at present some activity must be going on. I am sitting here in Chennai, what is happening in Bangalore, I have no idea. I am constrained by the space where I am present and by time to be able to know what is happening. Now in future, in this room, tomorrow what is going to happen, I don't know. I am bound by Kala and by time and by space. Both these things are acting upon me. Now, because I cannot see beyond the influence of Kala and space, beyond the influence of time and space, I cannot see, does not mean that nobody else can see. There are certain people who are qualified to see, who are not constrained by the forces of time and space. Such people are called Munis. They are called Mahatmas. Veda Vyasa is not bound by time and space. Just like you look at Sanjaya. Sanjaya is describing the whole battle of Kurukshetra, sitting with Dhritarashtra. He is sitting with Dhritarashtra in the palace in Hastinapura. The battle is going on in Kurukshetra, which is several hundreds of miles away. And he is exactly telling what Arjuna is asking to Krishna, what Krishna is responding, what Duryodhana is doing. He is seeing everything, whatever is happening on that battlefield, sitting hundreds of kilometers away. Those days, technology of television was not there. There were no mobile phones. There was no internet. There was no live relay on Facebook or Instagram. Krishna was holding one mobile, and with Krishna selfie he was taking, okay, live relay of Facebook. Okay, now Arjuna, ask your question. That was not going on. Then how was Sanjaya figuring out what is happening? How is he hearing all these things? Because he had a blessing from Vyasadeva, by which he could see beyond the constraints of time and space. He could see what is happening on that battlefield of Kurukshetra. Similarly, there are personalities like Veda Vyasa. They are not bound by the constraints of time and space. Like there is a pastime of Prabhupada. Prabhupada, when he went to the West, initial days, 65, 66, those days, up to 68, there was nothing much happening. In fact, in 65, Prabhupada went to the US, and every alternate week or something like that, Prabhupada would go to the India Steamship Company office and ask them, when is the next steamship going to India? Because he did not know how long he will stay in America. Prabhupada relates this. And then one time, Prabhupada was sitting in one park all alone, nobody was there. And some unknown gentleman was sitting next to him. Then he started asking Prabhupada. Prabhupada was dressed differently. He obviously looked like an Indian and wearing tilak and completely differently dressed. This man who was a Westerner, white American, he became curious and he started talking to Prabhupada. And he started asking, who are you, where are you from, and all that. And when he asked him, who are you, Prabhupada replied, I am the Acharya of an international organization. We have temples all over the world. In every country we have our presence. So this man was shocked. Such a big man, he's sitting on the park in the bench and sitting and talking to me. He was really shocked. So he said, where are all these centers? Prabhupada replied, time is separating us. And you see, Prabhupada's vision actually became true. No, it became true. And after a few years, 108 temples all over the world, and Prabhupada is the Acharya of an international organization. There is another memory by one Mataji, somebody shared on WhatsApp the other day. It is in that memory, the Mataji is saying that she had opened up one attic. Attic means, in the old houses, they have a wooden roof, and you go above that, there will be some space where you keep all the old stuff, isn't it? Old, as a child, when you are growing, you have one tricycle and all those things. When you grow up, you don't have any use to that. You go and put it into the attic. Like that, she was clearing up her attic. There was a carton box filled with so many things. She was clearing up all that. And she found many old newspapers. And in one of those newspapers, there was an article published by an astrologer. And that astrologer had studied Prabhupada's horoscope. And he was writing in that article, if anybody says that he can read this horoscope, he is lying. Nobody can read this horoscope. It is of a transcendental personality. And this transcendental personality, what this horoscope says, is that he will write. And when he writes, it will not be letters which will be written. It will be fire. He will set fire to the world, and that fire will destroy the ignorance of the people. Isn't it true? Prabhupada's words are not simple letters written on paper. You take any of Prabhupada's books and start reading, they are not ordinary letters. They will burn up all the ignorance within your heart. You see this prediction? this prediction, how true it is. So you can see certain people can see beyond the constraints of time and space. And Veda Vyasa is one such personality. So he could see what is happening in Naimisharanya. He could foresee what all is going to happen. Narad Muni came to him, Veda Vyasa, before he had written the Bhagavatam. And before he had written the Bhagavatam, there was no question of Veda Vyasa imparting it to Shukadeva Goswami. And if Shukadeva Goswami has not learnt it from Veda Vyasa, how is he going to narrate it to Parikshit Maharaj? Therefore, the meeting between Narada Muni and Veda Vyasa happened first. After that, he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is the Srimad Bhagavatam? That is a description of things which are going to happen in the future. And that Veda Vyasa is able to see. He is going beyond the forces of time and space, and he is able to see because he is an empowered incarnation of Krishna, and he is able to see and he is able to write. And that is how you see these things in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the lines are blurred. What is happening in the past, what is happening in the future, it all sometimes becomes a little blurred. It becomes difficult to comprehend. So that's because these things are achintya, they are inconceivable. To our minds it may seem inconceivable, but to people who are well versed in the Vedic scriptures, these are all normal things. This is how we have to understand. Okay?